Ladies and gentlemen, he's a Hall of Famer. He's also got a great YouTube channel, QB Confidential. You should check it out. Kurt Warner, back from Berlin. Good to see you, Kurt, the world traveler. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you, my friend.
Were you doing what I saw you do on the way back from Brazil? Were you watching film on the flight home, the whole business? Doing it again?
I was.
Oh,
yeah, that's my daily grind. So I was able to get it downloaded and watch a lot on the way home. Yeah.
All right, let's hit the Monday Nighter then. We just spent the first 15 minutes of the program talking about how A.J. Brown's telling his fantasy owners, you should just release me, and then calling what's going on there an S show. And I'm like, listen, this is just oxygen for the Philadelphia Eagles as they win. But what does the film say here? What is going on with this offense? I feel like it's like Groundhog Day. I ask you almost once a week. What are you seeing? Like, what is it? What's happening here?
I think it's a little of everything. I mean, it starts with the fact that they're not dominating up front. And so, they're not getting the big plays and the big play touchdowns, which really has been, what they've been so good at over the last couple of years. And obviously Saquon got a lot of those big plays, but even in the pass game, it was a lot of big play touchdowns. And even this year, I think when their offense has done something, it's been based off of big plays in the pass game. So when they struggle to run the football and they have to control, offensively by throwing the football and managing the game, they're just not great at it. And, Jalen Hurts isn't necessarily great at that aspect of things. I think he's really good when his primary guy, his first guy, is open. He can make every throw. And, we've seen in the biggest moments him make great throws over and over again and play really well. When he's got to move beyond his first read, he struggles a bit. And, he struggles to get there and he wants to move and create. He's not unique in that. There's a lot of guys in this league that I feel are very similar, where that first guy, man, they're really good. And then when they have to get beyond that, it's more of a struggle. Let's go create. Instead of allowing the offense to come, to him a little bit. And I think that's where A.J. Brown gets frustrated, where it's like, okay, if I'm the primary guy, there's a really good chance I get the football. But if I'm anything beyond that, then I just feel like I'm just kind of running around and I'm not getting the ball. And so that's where I think this offense gets bogged down and gets in trouble, is not running the football and not getting big plays. Now, do you have the pieces? Are you good enough at that other stuff to be successful? And that has been a real struggle for them and something that they've got to figure out if they're not going to be able to do the things that they did last year on their run.
So, sports talk radio question. The line not dominating or the offensive coordinator, which one has more to do with the change from last year to the results we're seeing now? Kurt?
It's hard to say. I mean, I haven't studied their run game enough to say, well, are we running different run plays? Are we running them into the wrong kind of boxes? Like last year, I felt like they ran their run plays against anything. It didn't matter. And they won, and then Saquon made guys miss and got big plays. And so, what I'm watching and what I see from a run game standpoint doesn't appear to be different than what they did last year. So I would say it's more on just, them not winning in the same way that they did last year, them not, finding a way. And it might be the defenses that they're playing against, maybe they were out of position, whatever it was last year that allowed, 4 or 5 yard run to become a 60 or 70 yard run. And those things aren't playing out this year. And, so it's hard for me to believe that they changed their entire run game. We all know sequencing and play calling. It's not as easy as just, closing your eyes and pointing to a play on a piece of paper. There's got to be a feel to it. There's got to be an understanding to what you're getting and what you're seeing from other teams. But I can't imagine that they've changed their run game, that the scheme is all the same that they had last year. It's just not dominating like it did.
So then let's turn to Green Bay, Kurt. 2 weeks ago in this very spot, in your usual Wednesday appearance on this program, where we're, praising Jordan Love for that performance against Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field. 370 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, almost a perfect passer rating. I mean, we had no idea that they were approaching a cliff offensively.
Yeah.
What ails them, and what is potentially fixable? Is it as simple as Tucker Kraft goes out and throws the whole thing off, or what is it? Kurt?
That obviously is a part of it. When you lose a playmaker and lose a guy that, got so much run after catch, short throw, make him into big plays, makes the game easier for everybody. But I just, it's such a stark contrast because, that game against Pittsburgh, it just looked like Jordan was on top of his game and he was seeing everything and he was getting the ball out on time and he played great. And then these last couple of weeks, it's been the opposite. I'm just watching the tape, going over it for QB Confidential before I jumped on here. And there's a number of plays that are out there to be made. Now, I don't know the definitive answer, but and I've talked about it a lot on our show, this whole pure progression type offense thing where, you call a play and a quarterback has to read the play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 the same way, no matter what coverage you get. And I believe that's something that can really hurt a quarterback, where if I looked at certain plays, I go, okay, I'm going to eliminate the whole left side of the field, even though in a pure progression, that's 1, 2, and 3. I'm eliminating it because of the coverage, and I'm getting right back here to this concept that I know is good against that coverage. And so I'm there in a timely fashion and can get it out of my hands. If I've got to read the left side of the field before getting back there, there's times I can miss those things. And, I'm too late getting back there. I'm hanging on something, too much, or seeing if I can fit a ball in to a receiver instead of allowing the defense to dictate what I'm doing. And so when I watch them play, I think there's some of that going on where he's looking someplace way too long. And I think he should be moving through his reads because there's some open opportunities. There's some other times where it sure looks like he's looking right at an open receiver and he's not throwing it. And you have to sit back and go, okay, why? What's going on here where everything that you're doing says you're looking right at this guy, he's open in front of you, and you're not throwing the football and you're hesitating and it's leading to sacks or you're trying to create instead of just taking what the offense has in front of you. And so it's hard to put your finger on when you saw him play the way he did a couple weeks ago. And then you're seeing the way he's playing now. And, sometimes as a guy that analyzed it and having played the position, sometimes I sit back when I see that stark contrast and go, is it because in certain games, the offense just works wherever he's looking, the guy's open, and so he can just come back and throw it. And then when teams make it harder on them and they've got to work through things, they're just not as comfortable and not as fluid, and it's causing them to be late, to miss things, to jam things in instead of allowing, the defense to read the defense and see what's going to be coming open within the offense. So it really does lend yourself to kind of step back and go, okay, who is Jordan Love? What is he able to do? I could say the same thing about Tua. We've had lots of conversations about Tua. Tua is really good with his first read. When he's got to get beyond his first read, he really struggles. Why is that? Is that the nature of the offense, or is that something that's a bit of a flaw with Tua that he's got to get better at moving forward? And so you start asking those questions when you see guys kind of riding these waves that are up and down, because it's like, this guy plays too good in certain moments for you to think that they should, have 2 or 3 games where they're missing all kinds of stuff and not seeing things. So it makes you start to wonder, is it just when the offense works that it looks really good, and when it's not perfect, they struggle a little bit, and give you a little more insight on where they are as a quarterback at this stage in their career.
All right, and then sports talk radio question before we move on. Which offense that struggled on Monday night and seems to have issues is most fixable? Eagles, Packers. Kurt Warner.
Wow, good question.
Right.
I'm going to go Eagles, just because they've done it. They've been there. I like the talent, the top level talent that they have. Although I think the Packers are a good football team. When you look at their receivers on the outside, they're not as dynamic. That they're good players. I don't think they're great players. When you look at the Eagles, you got Saquon, you got AJ, you got Devontae, Dallas you've got a lot of guys, Jalen, who's won a Super Bowl. And so I just believe because of the personnel, that it's more fixable in Philly, and I think it's going to be a bit of more of a struggle for the Packers, especially if the offense just doesn't play in their favor because, losing Tucker Kraft, you don't have him. Golden's hurt. I mean, you got some issues there with some of your playmakers that you had a year ago. I think it's going to be tougher for the Packers.
Kurt Warner. We're in the middle of Warner Wednesday right here on the Rich Eisen Show. We may have a new nickname here, Kurt. Caleb time in Chicago. Caleb time. Yeah. I'm not saying it's Tebow time, but certainly the last 2 weeks. And I'm not saying the struggles were similar to Tim Tebow's during the first, what would you say, 50 minutes of a football game that we used to see. But Caleb in the fourth quarter, passer rating of 123.5 the last 2 weeks. And it's clicking, making plays with his legs, making plays with his arms. And now suddenly the coach isn't talking about getting the ball out on time. He's talking about magic. He's Houdini. Yeah. I guess that's the difference between winning or losing. What are you seeing on film, Kurt?
Well, I mean, first thing is I'm seeing a young man that's competing every time out there. Not a finished product yet. There's still times where I think he throws the ball too hard. There's times where, he's not smooth in getting through his reads and that comfort level of staying in the pocket and working through his progressions. Times where he misses some throws. But I've seen a huge uptick from where he was last year, which is the first thing that you love to see. And then the second thing is, as I said, is that the kid's competing. And he is battling every time out, and he wants to make a play on every snap. And guys are feeding off of that. And as you said, and late in games, he's finding a way to do those things and to finish games for him, even if they're not pretty throughout the rest of the game. And that's what I love. I love watching him compete because guys are going to go to bat for him and battle with him every time out. There's things that have to get better and make the game easier on him. At times when you watch him, you're like, my gosh, he's making it hard. But because he's so talented, he'll miss a read and then he'll come back to that throw when he's scrambling and he makes this ridiculous 45-yard throw on the move. And you're just like, oh my gosh, made it way harder than it had to be. But we got there and we got it done. And so I think that's the beautiful thing about where they're at right now is they're winning games and having some semblance of success without it all being put together yet. And that's what excites you is I still don't know what Caleb's going to be long-term, how good he's going to be with, in the pocket and in structure and on schedule type stuff. But I'm excited because I've seen, improvement there. And then I'm excited because they're finding ways to win games this year, even when it's not perfect, which bodes well for, what you hope is growth in the future within this offense and with Ben Johnson.
And then it's kind of crazy, Kurt, just to finishing up in this division right now, like if I had told you prior to the season that in week 10, there would be a surprise new play caller in Detroit and it would be Dan Campbell, you'd say, uh-oh, this is a lost season. Or nothing good would come out of it. And they had one of their best offensive days of the year, maybe outside of beating Ben Johnson's Bears in week 2. What'd you make of this decision?
I love it. From a couple different standpoints is that, taking a big picture view of things. And, I know the automatic reaction is, oh, Johnny Morton's not the right guy. They hired the wrong guy. He's taken away the play calling, right away. But there is an art to calling plays and getting a feel for games. And it's so funny that, we want to throw these young quarterbacks in and want them to be a finished product as soon as they step on an NFL field. And we put these guys in as coordinators and they're supposed to be a finished product because they're in that position without having the opportunity to grow into the position. And I think that's basically what, Dan is saying here. He's not saying, oh, I hired the wrong guy. This guy can't be great at this. I think he's just saying, okay, we've experimented. He's not quite there yet. So I'm going to take over because I've been there and I've done this and I know what I want. And I'm going to be able to guide him a little bit. I'm going to coach my coaches. It's not just coaching players, but I'm going to coach my coaches. And I'm going to get him up to speed, however long that takes, right? He said, hey, he might get it back this year. It might be next year. All that's but he's just saying, hey, we tried this. It's not exactly where I want it to be yet. And not that I expected it to be. I think we all hoped it would be, but it isn't there yet. That's okay. But I'm going to be smart enough to go, well, I'm not just going to, just keep riding this wave. If I don't feel like it's where and to our standard right now, I'll take it over. And, I believe I can do a good job, and we'll get back to the standard. And then I can bring my guy along with me, and I can teach him and talk to him through some of this stuff so we can get him up to speed and ready to go whenever that is, because we believe we have the right guy in that position. So I love the decision, and I love the way that he talked about it and didn't, just kind of say, hey, oh, yeah, I made a mistake, this is done. No, I understand there's a process here. There's a process for every guy that has to go from one level or one position to another position. You're never just a finished product, and it takes time to get there. And I think that's what Dan said. And in the meantime, he's going to help grow that coach until he feels he's ready to take back over.
I was saying, again, we have our Overreaction Monday pod, and Brockman's like, if Dan Campbell's going to keep the play calling and they're going to finish the 1 seed. I said that's kind of an overreaction, but if they're good enough to be the 1 seed and he keeps the play calling, that puts him in Coach of the Year category for sure, right? I mean, to make a move in the manner in which you said, we didn't catch a wind of it. And so there wasn't controversy leading up. There wasn't pressure during, other than whatever he was putting on himself by making that move. And then the way you talked about it afterwards removed a lot of the potential controvery. It helps to win and get 500 yards total, and Jahmyr Gibbs looked like Gale Sayers, but kudos, man, like big time.
Yeah,
big
exactly.
Ups.
And the other thing is that I think we've seen Dan, do thing after thing after thing in his time with the Lions that just keep reiterating the fact that he's a really good football coach. He's a really good leader. And you hear his players say that. You hear coaches that are with him say that. People around the league respect him for that. And so I think he already has tremendous respect in this league. And he continues to win, and he continues to find ways to have success with different guys in different positions. And so, that would not be out of the realm of possibility that this is a good football team. If they play like they did under his play calling this past Sunday, and make a run and finish, top in the NFC for sure, but up there in the NFC. I think he definitely belongs in that conversation again, for a Coach of the Year type situation. And but again, I just think we continue to see how good a football coach he is, and how he seems to have a great pulse of his team and what's going on, and seems to push the right buttons at the right times.
Lastly, Kurt, let's finish up with Matthew Stafford. I mean,
okay,
because listen, we're sitting there. You and I are sitting there in London. Okay, we're getting set to call Rams Jaguars. We're talking to Sean McVay on a Zoom, and he tells our group, "Listen, we've been really Puka heavy, and he's not in this game, and it's kind of a challenge to us to learn how to play without this guy, and to be more diverse on offense." And all Stafford's done is throw 14 touchdowns in the next 3 games and no interceptions. Okay. Yeah. Which is, by the way, the first guy to ever do that in 3 straight games, that many touchdowns and no interceptions. Nobody's ever done that before. And find 7 different receivers for touchdowns. One of them is Puka when he came back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so mission accomplished, right? They're a better team maybe because of all that. They look terrific. And Stafford's, I'm wondering what goes through your mind, Rams Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP, watching this guy on film in this uniform right now.
I mean, the first thing that goes through my mind is this guy is just ridiculously talented. Like, I'm just envious of, what he can do with a football, first and foremost. When we did some of those meetings, remember Devontae was talking to us, and he said, this guy is the best manipulator of defenses that I've ever been around. And you see that time and time again. I don't know if this is the play, you got that shot up there, but, he had a touchdown pass in the game against the 49ers where it was a naked bootleg and everything was covered. And it looked like he had kind of given up on the play and was ready to run out of bounds. And then at the last second, he flips it over the top of the defense. He got the defense to kind of suck up, flips it over the top of the defense and throws a touchdown pass. It's things like that he does that you're just like, man, what's going through his mind and how is he figuring these things out? And then I think you couple that with Sean McVay, who I think does a tremendous job of his creativity of what he does. I think they could run naked bootlegs for every single play of the game, and they would continually win football games because Sean is so creative, and Matthew is so good at running those things and manipulating and finding the right guy. It's a joy to watch right now. The way he's playing. I think him and Jonathan Taylor have to be right up there as the two front runners for the MVP right now. Putting him with Sean McVay and then putting him with Puka and Devontae. It's almost unfair with what they're doing, especially when they get tight to the red zone. What do you want to do? Put Devontae in any one-on-one situation. Give him a slant or a fade, and it's hard to stop. Puka, you can flip it to him at any point in time from inside the 5, and he'll find a way to get into the end zone. And then the creativity. I really enjoy watching them play. I think Matthew's playing at as high a level as he's ever played at, which is saying something because we know how good he has been for how long in this business. So I really think they're the best team going right now in the NFC, but it starts with coach and quarterback, in their bag.
Kurt, Drake Maye, you've been talking a lot about one of the best throwers, deep throwers. And again, this is your lane. You're Mr. All 22. I don't watch everything All 22. It just happened to show up in my feed. It was from this past week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The shot, the camera angle was from the end zone behind May. Okay, you've probably seen this. I think you know what I'm referring to. He appeared to be closer to the left hash than he was anywhere else. And he hit Kyle Williams on a throw, on a run, over a defender. And Williams took it to the house the rest of the way. That one just, my eyes popped out of my head when I saw that. Yeah. What did you think when you saw that, Kurt?
The thing about it is that it's so easy for him to push the ball down the field. I think that's what jumps out to me is, the balls have been perfect and, it's like a long handoff when he throws it. But just the effort or lack of effort that it takes for him to push the ball down the field and make those throws is eye-popping, whether it's on the move like that or a little flip of the wrist, in the pocket where, just doesn't seem like he has to really do anything with his body to create that power down the field. And that allows the touch, to be able to hang the ball high and still get it out there and make it so his guys can adjust. And it's a thing of beauty. As you said, I think he's the best deep ball thrower in the National Football League right now. And I think a big part of it is because it is so easy for him. I don't know if it's the size, the technique that, I feel like he's cleaned up his technique from the time he came out of North Carolina to where he's at now. But it's effortless. And you mentioned it. Every single game that we've watched this year, you've seen 2 or 3 of those throws. Those just kind of like, wow, like you couldn't do it any better. And it just looked easy. And, what we all know, and like you watching it going, that's not as easy as it looked. Like he makes it look easy, but when you're like, wow, that is a tough throw that he just made look effortless. And he's done it numerous times this year. And it's fun to watch, to go to Tampa and get another win. They are rolling. I'm excited to see what this team can do this year. I thought they'd be a year away. I thought they'd be improved, but they are playing great on defense right now, and he is playing lights out.
All right, Kurt, Jameis has just been named the starter for the Giants. What's your opinion, thoughts? Unfortunately, obviously, Jaxson Dart is not going to be able to go. He's in the concussion protocol. New coach, Mike Kafka, interim, says it's Jameis. Your 2 cents on it.
I got to say, I'm not surprised. I thought they would go this direction if Jaxson couldn't play. I think they've seen kind of Russell and what he is, and that hasn't worked out. And it doesn't seem like the team, even when he's been, kind of placed in there a couple times as Jackson's been banged up, that they've got that confidence in him. And so I felt it was the natural move to go to Jameis and give him a shot. I love Jameis. I think Jameis is good enough to be a starting quarterback in this league. We all know the reason that he's not is that, too often he can't get out of his own way, but you'll watch tape on Jameis and, I say it all the time. When I watch tape on Jameis, I think he makes more good decisions than most starting quarterbacks in the league in the course of a game. The problem is he's always got, 2 or 3 of those decisions where you're just like, where did that one come from? Like, what are you doing? Like,
he loves all windows, right? He loves all windows. All windows are throwable. They're all throwable.
I don't mind interceptions at all.
Right.
Like, if an interception is based off of a good decision and it just doesn't work out, like you miss a throw, a defense makes a great play, there's a little miscommunication, like I can live with those. The problem with Jameis is that a lot of the throws that he made or the interceptions that he makes, you're just like, where did it come from? Like, what are you looking at? Like, there was really no chance, from the get-go. And so there's just too many of those. And it's so unfortunate because, like I said to start, he makes more good decisions and sees the field and reads the field as well as, most guys in the National Football League, and why he should be a starter because he has that ability. But, we're just at that point where it's like, is it too far gone? Will you never be able to get out of your own way? But it's, to me, it's just unfortunate because I love the kid. He wants to work. He wants to be great. He's a great leader. I mean, all of those things. He's got all of those things. It's just that one thing to me that's preventing him from doing it. And, we're just, when these guys get this far into their career, you just kind of throw up your hands and go, well, I guess that's just who he is. Maybe he can't change that. But it's too bad because I do think he is that talented and that good of a quarterback that he should be starting in the league if he could just avoid those plays.
Well, we'll see, how long Dart is out, and he certainly has an opportunity. It's against Green Bay, which desperately needs this game. Yeah. I mean, this is a...
Well, how about we talk a little bit about that? Like, I mean, Ryan Daboll, I know he's out. Could part of the reason be, or at least moving forward, we got to stop Jaxson Dart from taking so many hits.
Well, in terms of that, in terms of that,
crazy.
Kurt, in terms of that, our radio audience is about to go away, and I don't want to cut you off in the middle of that answer. You know how this works, hard outs, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I got you.
In the meantime, I'm seeing you this weekend, right? Correct? Am I seeing you?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yep.
Right. In advance of Commanders and Dolphins in Spain, the finale of the International Series. That's Kurt Warner here in hour number 1. All right, I have 2 minutes here now on the TV side of things. I'll give you the floor on that subject matter with Dart. Kurt.
Well, what I was saying is that, just too much in harm's way. And, I start to wonder, I mean, obviously the, success of the win-loss record isn't what they wanted in New York. But, I started to wonder if that could have played into some of this decision as well. It's like we've got this young quarterback.
Daboll, right? On Daboll you're talking about?
Right, yeah. That we really believe in. We got to quit running him. Like, we got to quit putting him in these situations and thinking this is college football. And again, I'm sure Jackson was saying, hey, do it, run me, do it like this because he's good at that stuff. But he's just been hit way, way, way too much by designed runs, as well as him putting himself in harm's way early in his career. And, they've just got to do something different in that regard. And, part of me just wonders with him being banged up, 2 or 3 times already this year, if some of that had, anything to do with Coach Daboll being, let go by the Giants, just saying, hey, we got to stop doing this like this, and I don't know if they ever had those conversations, but that's something to me that has to change when he gets healthy, because I mean, I don't know how many times it's been now, but I think he's gone into the blue 10 a number of times this year because of, these prolonged plays and run plays where he's just taking a beating.
Well, Kurt, while you watch film and tape and all 22 for QB Confidential, I read articles and hit links for the Rich Eisen Show and Game Day Morning, and you're on it. A lot of people who cover the Giants are saying that moment where Dart went out was the final straw, with the coup de grace being another fourth quarter blown lead and loss when they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and that was the end of that, and that maybe everybody wanted to part ways with Daboll looking for a new opportunity. So you're not too far off. I will see you Sunday, sir. Thanks again.
Okay, buddy.
Take care, man.
See you.
That's Kurt Warner, everybody, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. QB Confidential is how you should check out when you're on YouTube. Hit us with a subscription. Hit it with us. Everyone should subscribe. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.